This is the Rising Star Podcast from Race22.com with host Langley Austin, bringing you down-home grassroots short track racers sharing their journey on what it takes to rise above the rest.
All right, we've got Jordan Pickrel on with us here on Rising Star. Jordan, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, it's good to be on here. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do this.
Yeah, man, you were one of the people. You know, we put up a post on the Race 22 Facebook page, asking people to nominate people for this new podcast. We call it Rising Star. Kind of gonna, shed some light on some of the guys in the support divisions. We cover late model stocks primarily, but it's always good if we can kind of show people the guys that are coming up through the ranks and. Heading, you may be a late model stock guy, soon enough, a regular on the late model stocks. I know you planning on doing that. So tell us about, give us a 1 or 2 minute little, episode number 1 of the comic book. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you got started in racing, and lead us up to today.
So basically, obviously, my name's Jordan Pickrel. I'm 19 years old. I've been racing since, I want to say I was probably 11 or 12. I started out in the Bandolero cars, and getting there wasn't exactly an easy task either because my family really doesn't come from a lot of money. We don't, my dad or anybody in my family didn't have the money to fund racing just right off the bat. So it's not like I was just one day said, I would like to get in a race car, and my dad bought one.
Right.
It was more like, I really want to do this racing thing. And just continue to talk about it. And, he was talking to one of our neighbors, and he's like, I don't know. He keeps talking about racing, but I don't know how I can even make that happen. He said, I don't think I can afford it. And they said, well, you can start now and save, and maybe you can make it happen. So I'm going to say we saved for about 5 years to go racing. And finally saved up enough money and bought a Bandolero car. And from there, we actually rented a U-Haul to get it home. And the first 3 races I went to, we actually used a U-Haul trailer. So borrowed a truck from somebody, grabbed a U-Haul trailer, and went to the racetrack. And kind of got myself a little bit of experience. And then the next year, we went down to Orange County with kind of plans on wanting to run the full schedule, but we didn't really know where the money was going to be. And we ended up winning 5 out of 6 races that year in the Bandolero car down there. Just ended up coming up a little bit short with the funding and things to run for the championship. And the next year, we ran for the championship, won a bunch more races, and won the championship. So that was a cool little accomplishment. I know the Bandolero cars aren't I wouldn't list that as my greatest accomplishment. They weren't really, I guess, as difficult to drive. But, everybody's got to start somewhere and in something. So we got us some wins there and got some experience. And from there, Lane Riggs had just got out of pure stock racing. And the guy that had been helping us pretty heavy is a sponsor. He's like, I really want you to get into something you can run some more laps and get more experience in. So I'm going to try to buy one of Lane's cars. And he ended up buying Lane's first car. And from there, I started working at Sellers Racing because I knew late model racing was the goal. And my dad said, well, we don't have a ton of money, so you need to get with some people who have some experience and know what they're doing and learn how to work on them yourself. So I started working there for free, actually, one summer. I think I was about 14 years old, and I didn't race that year just because I didn't have the money, and we were kind of getting the car ready to go next year. Started racing, and I've continued to work with Sellers Racing up until now. I actually just got off work not long ago, and we raced that car the first year and won Rookie of the Year, finished 4th in point, had a bunch of really good runs, just never quite capitalized on a win. I took the next year off because I made the mistake of wrecking my mom's van. That's not anything somebody would ever want to do. It doesn't really help funding wise. So I kind of paid the price for that a little bit. And the next year, which was last year, we went racing again and won 2 races last year, set the track record, and ended up finishing third in points, about, I think it was 15 or 16 points out of the championship. So we come up a little bit short, but I think we learned how to lose the championship and got a lot of really good experience heading into this year. And this year's already proved to be a pretty good year. Starting Eric Winslow's late model here and there, kind of getting me a little bit of experience in that, getting my feet wet, and then I'm racing my car, and we've already got, I think it's 3 poles and 2 wins, 4 races. So re-broke our track record the first race, so we've had a really good year up until now. We're second in points somehow, so I think I got to figure out how to make it back up, but we've had a good year, and I'm really blessed the Lord who's helped get me this far, because obviously I don't have the money and don't have the ability to do it on my own, and He's opened a lot of doors and made a lot of opportunities for me.
Yeah, man, it sounds like you've come a long ways from you guys spending 5 years saving up, money to buy your first Bandolero for sure. When you guys got the Bandolero, did you start out at Orange County? I don't know if you mentioned that in the beginning. I know you said you run there the next year, but is that where you started at?
We did. We ran 3 races that first year at Orange County. We were actually running with the PASS series, Carolina Competition Sport. So that was a cool little experience, too, to be around some of that past stuff and see what the touring series was like. We've kind of gotten away from that now, running, with all late models on a weekly night, more like a NASCAR night, but cool deal.
Right. And the Bandolero, you said it was really easy to drive?
I would say it's a good thing for a kid to get started out in. The only thing that I wish I had done differently is Orange County was the closest track to us, and it was the most affordable for us to go racing. So that was the reason we went to Orange County. But if you can go to a Wake County or somewhere like that where you got to get off the gas a little bit, they probably are a little bit more suited for that. Right now, when I was running, we were running Orange County, it's kind of wide open, and I was learning stuff about how to draft and stuff. So, that's not really helped me anymore in my racing career. I knew the basics once I got into a pure stock car, but it was a lot of learning because, the Bandolero was just totally different from what I've been doing, and it's hold it to the floor and, stay smooth and things. So, I don't say that it was extreme, like really easy, but just making a lap was easy, but the racing obviously was a little bit harder to get wins and things. But I still don't think that is as much of an accomplishment because it's a little bit less driver in that situation. It's a lot of car in those cars at the big tracks, so you're running a restrictor plate and things like that. It's just a little bit different.
Right. Was there anything from a standpoint of working on those Bandolero cars that helped you as you moved up to the pure stocks?
Yeah, I think obviously anytime you get a race car for the first time, I was so excited to drive it. We bought it and actually sat for a whole year. But I would go out there and I would sit in the car, and I was actually homeschooled, and I would do my schoolwork in it because you're just so excited to finally get to go racing. And this thing I've watched on TV and dreamed about doing for so long, and you're still dreaming. You're sitting in the car thinking about what it's going to be like. So it taught a lot of the work ethic, and you learn things from those cars that transfer over to some things. I was so young at that time, I didn't learn as much until I got over at Sellers and really got to talking to HC and learning from guys like that. It's been a lot of cool people I've got to learn from. I think one of them would be Neil Perkins. He's been in racing so long, he taught me a lot. And obviously HC and Jerry Babb was another cool guy I got to learn from. But, you know, the Bandolera cars helped learn some, but I would say more of the learning came when I started working with Sellers Racing and doing things like that.
Right. Now, tell us, you know, a lot of people are familiar with the Bandolera cars, but probably not so many people are familiar with what South Boston and Orange County call pure stock. So tell us about your car and the makeup of that division.
So the pure stock cars are basically, ours is a Nissan 240. It's rear-wheel drive. So it's stock, supposed to be about 160 horsepower. I think it weighs 2,400 pounds, and it's not supposed to have many modifications to it. We get to do a couple of little things here and there, but it's supposed to be pretty close to stock, and we put racing tires and wheels on it, the Hoosier 13-inch. It's kind of a treaded tire, but
Right.
It's not quite a street slick. It's basically a slick with just a little tread cut into it, but it's not quite a street tire. It's a little bit wider. And we run about 17.9, 18.0s at South Boston. To give you an idea, a late model car would be around a 15 flat to a 14.9
Right.
on a really good night. So it's about a 3-second difference, but they're quick little cars. A lot of tracks would, I guess we'll call them a U car, but you can do a little bit more than a U car. It's kind of in between that and a mini stock,
Right.
somewhere in between there. But we do have to run stock springs and struts and things, but we got a lot of leeway in other places.
Yeah, typically it seems like South Boston has a pretty good car count in that division, and that division seems to be really competitive as well.
It is. It's extremely competitive. Just for example, the first race I qualified on the pole, but second place was only 7, I think, thousandths off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really tight division all the way around, and we normally carry over 10 cars on a good night. But it's a good division to race in. I'd say I recommend it to just about anybody looking to get into racing. If you don't have a lot of money, you can build one of those cars or buy one and race pretty affordably, and still have a fun time doing it. I think for a young driver, it's definitely a good thing to put them in before you put them in a late model stock car or anything like that.
Right. Now, have you, I know you race, you know, primarily at South Boston, but have you raced your pure stock at Orange County?
I haven't been up there yet. I really want to go up there this fall, but most time for me, I've been so focused on the South Boston season, you don't want to take you work so hard to get through that season, and then you kind of burn out. And we were going to go this fall, but things just didn't quite work out for us to go. But I really like to go down there. Obviously, during the regular season, we don't want to carry it over there and tear it up and then try to have to put it back together in a week to go to South Boston. But I would like to go down there and race some.
Right, I got you. And you said, you know, you've already been starting Eric Winslow's late model stock car. What's that experience been like so far?
I have really enjoyed it. You know, obviously Eric's isn't, you know, the front running equipment or anything like that, and we're not putting tires on the car or anything. But going out there and riding, and last race actually getting to pass car too, and racing, just getting used to the car has been a real learning experience, and I think it's made me a better driver all the way around. Keeping load on the front tires and learning how to work all that. It's you got to take what the car gives you a lot more than a pure stock car or something like that you can really hustle hard. Late model is a lot more finesse to it, I think, and obviously the speed is something totally different from what I was used to. I remember getting in the car the first time, and I was like, Eric, I feel like I just finished turning, and then I'm turning down into the other corner because it carries a lot more speed than the pure stock car. But I think it's been a really cool learning experience, and I've learned a lot and look forward to doing it even more because I know it's making me a better driver. And whenever if I do get that opportunity to drive a good late model stock car, it's going to have me in a lot better position ahead of a lot of different people just from driving this one some.
Yeah, you said that it makes you a better driver. What have you learned being in the late model stock car that has helped you when you got back in your pure stock? Anything?
A lot of it has just been it slows the pure stock down so much. After being in a late model car, it felt fast at first, but then it kind of slowed down, and it slows the pure stock down. And it's a lot of different little things you pick up on, and line-wise and getting in the corner and feel that transfer over. A lot of it's hard for me just to explain to you, but I've definitely seen a pickup in myself from driving that car, and a lot of it I think is just the bravery you got in the pure stock now, because you're like, well, this is nothing compared to what I just did in the late model, so
right.
Driving in a little bit harder. And you're not afraid to drive it a little bit more out of control after getting in the late model, that those cars you really fight every lap.
Right. Do you think that's translated to, you said you've had a really good year so far. Do you think that's one of the things that's really propelled you this season?
For sure. I think it's definitely made our season a lot better having that experience. We also worked really hard over the off season, and working on a lot of late models has helped us this year, because you pick up on things to do, because in the end a race car is a race car. So a lot of times things that work on a late model, if you can legally put it on a pure stock car, it's going to be a pickup, obviously. And feel wise, it helped me be able to better diagnose the pure stock, and I think it's been an all-around plus. It's not really been any negatives to it.
Right. And you said that you've got a job now with Sellers, and you volunteered there when you were 14. That's pretty cool. I mean, for a guy who's racing in one of the support divisions, to get the opportunity to go over there and work, whether for free or getting paid, I mean, that's got to be a really cool opportunity, given all the big guys in late model stock car that come through that shop. Not just Peyton Sellers who's there, but all the other people, the Jeb Burtons of the world, and all the other people that come through Sellers over time. You've got to be able to pick up so much stuff from there.
Yeah, I cannot even begin to tell you about the difference that has made. I had a real desire to go racing, and my dad said, well, if you have that desire, you got to do something besides just work a regular job. Like all my other friends are going to work at Food Line or somewhere like that,
right.
And they probably were making a little bit more money than I was, but I knew in the long run the experience would be priceless in racing compared to what they were getting. And like you said, even working with Philip Morris for a short amount of time, that was awesome. That guy just watching him, a lot of times you pick up on things, and like talking to Neil Perkins, who worked with him a lot, and then obviously Peyton. He's been such a big help. I can talk to him just about just about anything on the race car, and he can give me a good answer and help me break it down even a little bit better. And then just going to the track with those guys. I mean, being with them when they won the national championship with Matt Boland, seeing the amount of work that's put into that. And then, like you said, working with Jeb Burton, I was fortunate to be with him when he won the 5 grand race at Ace last year. It's been a lot of really cool drivers and experience that I wouldn't trade the world for, and it's obviously a big help to myself being able to work with those guys, because there's so much talent and they all do it so much differently, that if you can pick up little things from each of them and they put it together, you can make yourself a little bit better driver.
Right. The job at Sellers, does that ever, I know you got to be, that can't be really a 9-to-5 job every day. Weeks you guys are busy or something happens, you wreck a couple of cars or whatever it is. Does that ever get in the way of, your program with your pure stock?
It can make it really, really, really difficult. I know the week before the first race, actually a couple weeks before the first race, it wasn't many nights that I was getting home before 12 and 1 o'clock, because you work so hard on their cars, and then I actually ended up taking my car to their shop just so I could get off, finish helping them, or in breaks go and work on my car, and just try to get all of it done. here recently, we've definitely been buckled down working hard. We have a lot of cars coming out of the shop, and if you ever get behind on anything, it really makes it difficult, like a couple torn up race cars. So definitely been hanging with HC a couple of late nights here recently. It's when you go into work, you never really know what time you're going to get off. I've had to explain that to my mom a couple of times, getting a text, aren't you home yet? Like, we work when the work's done. So whether that's 1 o'clock in the morning or 5:30, it doesn't really matter. We work till it's done. So
right, and that's got to be something.
Then again, that's also been a plus because it teaches you work ethic and work until you get it right. If you want to go win races, you don't quit working at 5:30.
Yeah,
you work until you have it perfect.
Yeah, that's got to be something that you've probably got to tell, I don't know if you got a girlfriend or whatever, but that's, your friends. It's probably hard, because in the racing world, I don't think, in racing there is a 9-to-5 job. You work, until you get it done, and you may have to, you may not get to start until 11 o'clock in the morning. You may not finish till 11 o'clock at night, or you may be there at 6 a.m. You may not go home till the next 6 a.m. So it's got to be hard on you, not just, with your mom texting you, but other people in your life. It's got to be hard to explain that to them because that's not what they do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've definitely had to explain to my girlfriend a couple times just because we got something planned. Yeah, you never know when I'm going to get off work. Might have to work over a little bit, or even the weekends I'm not racing. Most of the time we're going racing with Peyton. So I tell people with weddings and things like that, it's no guarantee that I'll be able to be there. It's just going to depend on whether we have a race or not. Not everybody understands that, but hopefully you surround yourself with people who do, friends that do, and they work around that with you, because obviously once the off season comes, you get a little bit more free time.
Right. What's your aspirations going forward? I mean, I know you've started some races in the late model stock. Is there any? Do you have any plans? Do you have anything that you got in the works? Moving more toward that, or are you just happy racing your pure stock and working on late models as much as you can?
Honestly, I think anybody young that's in racing, you look towards making it to the upper ranks, but realistically, for myself, I feel like if I make it to the point where I'm like a Philip Morris or a Peyton Sellers, Lee Pulliam, where I can race late models pretty comfortably, that would be making it to me. Personally, I got to work hard to get sponsorship to get there. I don't have money behind me to do that.
Right.
But if anybody's listening that is looking to sponsor me or is looking for a driver that will work on the car and do something like that, that's just kind of my goal. I would really love to get in a good late model stock car and race competitively for wins with those guys. I used to be the kid sitting in the stands looking at those guys like my heroes, and it's cool enough that I get to work with them. I really like to have the opportunity to race hard with them. That would be my goal. I think it's cool racing in, trucks, Xfinity or Cup Series, but really that racing has gotten so tainted with kids with money coming in that a lot of times your talent is at the late model level. And I really believe that for a fact. I believe a lot of these guys, you could put in a cup car and they could go out there and race with the best of them. They're just talented guys, but the way that the sport works, money kind of plays a bigger factor, and they never got that opportunity. So I think your competition is definitely at the late model stock car level, and that's definitely something I would like to work towards.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And sounds like you got a great head on your shoulders. Just taking that opportunity to go to work at Sellers and turning it into a job, and just all the things that you've done. I mean, it sounds like you're you're positioning yourself to be able to do something bigger down the road. But I know money will be your biggest hurdle for sure.
Yeah, and the Lord's blessed me to get to where I'm at, and if He chooses to bless me in that category, I'll take it. But I'm just going wherever the doors are open. Any seat that I can get in, I'm going to take it as far as the Lord lets me. You put yourself in the best position you can for those, and you get ready to jump through the doors if they open, but until then, you just got to be content with where you're at and do the best with what you got.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, coming on with us tonight, and everybody can come out and see you. You'll be racing this weekend at South Boston Speedway in the Pure Stock division, and all the rest of this year, and of course working with all the Sellers teams. We appreciate you joining us, and taking the time. If you got anything else you'd like to get out there, you can do it now, buddy.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate y'all getting me on. And again, I got to thank the good Lord for everything He's done for me, and all the sponsors that have helped me on my Pure Stock car, Commonwealth Drive for Improvement, Crider Law Office, Midnight Performance, Go Docs, and Ratliff Racing Transmissions. Those guys have been big supporters of mine, and of course my mom and dad for helping me do what I've done, and everybody else that supported me along the way.
All right, that's Jordan Pickrel, Pure Stock driver at South Boston Speedway. Check him out this weekend and the rest of the season, and we'll be back with another Rising Star soon enough.